everybody, welcome back. Okay, as you remember in the last video, we set it up so that we had our random hole moving all around the screen. So now what we want to do with this is when we tilt this, we want the ball to move and hit the hole. And we want to do it before it disappears and goes somewhere else. So what we need to do is something called collision detection. And what collision detection is when the phone is running the app and the app can detect whether or not this ball collided with this hole. So that being said, we need to actually add another timer for this. Now each collision detection with each app is going to be different. With this particular one we're going to need a clock. With other ones you might not, but for this one I will. So I'm going to put a clock in here, I'm going to rename it, and I'm going to put it reset ball clock. Okay, so that one is reset. I'm going to leave the timer interval at 1000. And then I'm going to come over here into the blocks editor. And I don't know if I showed you this or not yet, but there's this cool little thing you can do here. When a block is in your way, which this one's kind of going to be in our way, you can choose to collapse it. So when you right click on it, and choose collapse, it turns into this and you can move it right out of the way. That way we don't have to, have everything all kind of piled on top of each other and things like that. So we can keep it kind of neat and organized, which is important when you're developing an app because you really don't want it to be all cluttered and you're confused as to where everything is. So what we do here is we take the moving ball and you'll see that it already has something called collided with. But it only gives you the option of other. So if I take other and I put set other to, well, I want to set it to what it's going to collide with. So it would collide with ball hole. So I'm going to set that to other. And then I also want to make it that when it collides with ball hole, what do I do? Well, I take moving ball, I take visible, and I set it to false. So it's going to make it disappear. So right now at this point, all I have set up is that when this ball collides with this hole, which is also another ball as we know, but I'm just going to call it a hole for sake of the game. When this ball collides with this hole, this ball disappears. But that's it. It doesn't reappear anywhere now. And what we want it to do is reappear somewhere on the screen. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to put this reset ball clock timer out here. Now with this reset ball clock timer, I'm going to have to use one of these if statements we used in a previous video. I'm going to have to check and see if moving ball is visible or not. And I'm going to do this by going to moving ball. And you're going to see there's a moving ball visible option. And I'm going to go up here to logic. And I'm going to pull out the equals. I'm going to put that in. Put that right in place. So if moving ball visible equals false, then what do I want it to do? Well, I want it to make moving ball visible. So I have to go down here and choose visible. I want to set the moving ball visible to true. So I'm going to duplicate this, drop down in true. Now I want to reset it somewhere on the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull out the X and the Y coordinates to set that. So set X and set Y. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make these both 10. If you make them 0, when you go to bring it back onto the screen, it's not going to show up until you start moving the phone because it's kind of actually off the screen a little bit the way we have it because of having this on top of a canvas. So if I find that if I put 10 and 10, you'll actually see it when it resets and where it resets. So that's it. So what we have set up right now is that when this ball hits this hole, the ball disappears for about 1 second and it resets to somewhere on the screen. Now it's very hard for me to show you this on the camera, so I'm going to encourage you to just bring this up on your phone. Again, you can connect by using the companion. I'm going to reset my connection because I already have the companion up. And if you have yours up, just do that if you need to. But the companion is like the emulator and should change as you make changes, so you don't have to reset it every time. But you can, you can't really use the emulator for this one because you have to move the phone around, and the emulator you can't do that. You can use USB if you have USB set up. It'll work just like the companion. So I encourage you to mess with this, see what you can do, maybe speed up the whole little bit. But we'll get to something we could do with that here in a minute in another video. But what we're going to do is in the next video we're going to have it that when this hits the hole, it's going to add a score. Okay? So I'll see you in the next video.